So in the last class we have just started mechanics of solids, and we have just discussed about what is longitudinal strain, what is shearing strain, what is volumetric strain, and all. So those things we are discussing, like say when the load acts perpendicular to the cross section, that is longitudinal stress or strain. Okay, so let us say we have a rod. Okay, so when the load acts normal to the cross section of the rod, so it will give rise to a longitudinal strain. Okay, so we are saying let the force F is acting on it, and let the cross sectional area is A, and if this is the case, it will give rise to let us say the length of this rod is L. Okay, let us say the length is L, and it will get displaced by an amount, let us say del L. Okay, so it will give rise to a strain, which is called longitudinal strain, which is equal to delta L by L, and it will give rise to a stress which is equal to F by A. So this is longitudinal in nature. Okay, so this is a rod, and if you look from the side, it will have a cross section like this, and the area of cross section is A. And if it is circular in nature, A will be of diameter, area will be pi by 4 d square. So this strain is unitless, because if del L is in mm, del L can be in mm, and then L can be in mm. So mm by mm will be the unitless, is a ratio. But stress is force by area. So area, as you know, area is pi by 4 d square, so unit will be in mm square. So the force is always unit in Newton, so it is Newton per mm square. So why we call it as mm? Because in structural application we measure it in mm, not in meter, because meter is too big a unit to handle. So this we measure it in mm square. And we told that 1 Pascal is equal to 1 Newton per meter square. 1 Newton per meter square. So 1 Newton per mm square is nothing but 1 Newton divided by 10 to the power minus 3 meter square, right?
Yeah.
Right. So because mm is meter, so 10 to the minus 3 it will convert it into meter. So it will become like 10 to the 6 Newton per meter square. So 1 MPa is 1 Newton per mm square is nothing but 1 MPa, right? 1 MPa, clear? 1 Newton per mm square is 1 MPa. That has to be remembered always. Okay. So this we have talked about the longitudinal strain. Okay. So you can bring the mobile to take the picture. Go. So this is about longitudinal stress. Okay. Similarly, we have studied about the shear one. Okay. So we were discussing, like, let me say this is a cylinder. Okay. So that is a cylinder. So when the load acts, when the load acts parallel to the surface. So here the load is acting perpendicular to the surface, and let us say this is a cylinder of length. This is a cylinder of length L. Okay. So this is a cylinder of length L, and I am applying a load. So this is about longitudinal. Okay. This is about longitudinal. Okay. And then this is shear. Okay. When you are applying a force F, that is parallel to the surface. Okay. So I was telling you the example of this book. Okay. So when you are applying some load, here you are applying some load on this thing. So this, you can see this I am applying some load parallel to this. It will make an angle with the original the vertical line. Okay, so when I am applying a force, this will become, this will take a shape of, like say it will like this. So it will take a shape of this. So it will take this kind of a shape. So when this happens, so it will make a angle with the original vertical line. Okay. So let me say that this is delta L. Okay. So this I am understood. No?
At an angle.
I am applying when it is shear, when the load acting is parallel to the plane. Here load is acting is perpendicular to the plane. Here load acting is parallel to the plane. On the surface it is acting parallel to the plane. So if you like this is a cylinder. So if you look from the top, the area it will be, let us say again pi by 4 this square. It is a cylinder.
Yes, yes.
Okay, when a cylinder you are applying force F, and the length there is a change in length. Let us say del L. Okay. Let us say this is not exactly del L. We can say it as X because it is in the other direction.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's small.
So here because of this load applying parallel to the surface, it will give rise to a shear strain. So what is this shear strain? Shear strain is nothing but this angle. Okay, so in this case, this tan theta. Okay, so let us say this is
Small,
theta.
so it is theta.
This is theta. So if this is theta, you can see that what is tan theta? Tan theta is nothing but your. So
Del
if you
X,
draw a right angle triangle like this, let us say this is delta x and this is z, right? Then this is theta. So it is something similar to
del
that.
X by L.
So this theta, tan theta is equal to del x by L. Okay.
T
Del
plus
x by
del
L, which is your shear strain.
Yes.
Okay. And what is the shear stress here? Like your force acting on a area again A. So that is your shear stress, which is otherwise written as tau.
Yeah.
Okay. And your shear strain, there is this here, shear
Theta
strain.
will be very small.
Huh.
So
So this is shear strain, again E shear or whatever you can write. Okay.
okay.
Shear strain. So shear strain when theta tends to 0, tan theta tends to theta, right? That you know by limit. Okay.
Infinitely
Limit
small.
theta
Theta
tends to
tending to
0,
zero.
tan theta by theta is equal to 1.
One.
That you know.
Yes.
Okay. So tan theta will become theta. So your shear strain is nothing but theta. This angle theta is shear strain.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there is something called, like in this case, there is something called Young's modulus. Young's modulus is equal to longitudinal stress sigma by
By
longitudinal stress E. Okay. Which is nothing but F by A divided by delta L by L.
FL
So
by
this is Young's modulus. So normally this Young's modulus will be like 10 to the power minus 3. Sorry, this
Then pi
longitudinal strain will be 10 to the power minus 3. So this Young's modulus will normally be 10 to the 1000 times more than the
Yeah.
strength.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are doing strength and Young's modulus on table we have studied last
Yeah,
time.
yeah. For different elements.
So, like say, the Young's modulus will be nearly 1000 times more than the strength.
Yeah.
That is just a like a thumb rule kind of thing. Okay, so this so dimension of E will be same as dimension of
Dimension of
stress
force.
because
Force by
force by area stress. Dimension of E is like dimension we write as this, okay, by square bracket. Dimension
L by
of E
T.
is dimension of stress.
Yeah, because strain doesn't have.
Strain does not have unit. So this is about longitudinal. So this is Young's modulus. Okay, this term is called Young's modulus. Young's modulus.
Yes.
Okay. So similarly, there is something called the shear modulus. Okay, that is called modulus of rigidity.
Yeah.
That is named as G. So D is equal to shear stress.
By
Shear stress by shear strain. Okay, by shear strain.
FA by del X by L.
So that is nothing but F by A again divided by
del X by L.
del X by L or theta or whatever. So this becomes the shear modulus. So this is called Young's modulus. This G is called shear modulus. Okay. shear modulus. There is a relationship between Young's modulus and shear modulus that we will talk later.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is um, about longitudinal strain and shear strain. Okay.
Yeah.
And there is another one which is called volumetric strain. Okay, volumetric strain. Suppose what is volumetric strain? You have a sphere. Okay. So you apply some pressure from outside. Okay. You are applying some pressure from outside. Okay.
Yeah.
So let us say the initial volume is capital V, and after you apply some pressure, the shape will change in such a manner
That the volume,
that
there is
the
change in
volume
volume.
decreases. Okay, because of pressure, the volume it will come to a shape like this.
Del V change.
Okay. So this initial volume is D, and final volume is V minus delta V. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and what you are applying? You are applying some pressure.
Yeah.
Okay, so this phenomena is so this is called Young's modulus. This is Young's modulus. This is shear modulus. This is shear modulus. This is Young's modulus. This is called bulk modulus. Okay, this is called bulk modulus because the bulk of the material is getting compressed. So this is bulk modulus. So what is the formula for bulk modulus? That is known as K. Okay. So K is equal to applied pressure P divided by del V by V.
Yes.
This is
Bulk
bulk modulus.
modulus.
Okay. This is called bulk modulus. So we know there are three types of modulus. One is longitudinal, because of longitudinal
Young's
action,
modulus.
whatever is happening, that is Young's modulus. These are all in the name of Young is the name of a scientist. Okay. So one is Young's modulus. So Young's modulus is nothing but longitudinal stress by longitudinal strain. Other one is your shear modulus or the modulus of rigidity. Otherwise we call it as the modulus of rigidity, which is shear stress by shear strain. So shear strain is nothing but a angle, and then bulk modulus, which is
Pressure applied by
pressure applied divided by change volumetric strain.
strain.
So this del V by V
Volume
is called volumetric strain. Okay, and then this theta is called shear
shear
strain,
strain.
and this delta L by L is called longitudinal
Longitudinal
strain. Okay, so now we have covered three things. Okay, now we can take a picture. So this covers all three things, three types of modulus. Okay. We have already covered it in the previous lecture. This is just a recap of what we have already studied actually. So this is just a recap of what is studied. So remember what is the difference between longitudinal, shear and volumetric. There is a relationship between these values. Like I will tell you this just for your reference. E is equal to G by 2 into 1 plus nu. So you don't need to remember at this stage. In our engineering structure, we always remember this value. How Young's modulus is related to the modulus of rigidity. There is something called nu, which is Poisson's ratio. So you might have studied Poisson's ratio is nothing but your diametric strain divided by longitudinal strain. Like lateral strain divided by longitudinal strain is Poisson's ratio. Typical value of Poisson's ratio for steel is 0.3. So in this case you can see G by 2 into 1.3. Okay. So G by almost 2.6. That means Young's modulus is G by 1.6. Sorry, I think G is equal to E. This is this. Okay. G is equal to E by 2 into 1 plus nu. So so G is G divided by 2.6 means almost 1/3 is your
That is Poisson's
the E
ratio.
divided by
plus
2.6 is G.
Okay.
So Young's modulus of rigidity is much less than Young's modulus.
Yeah.
So G is equal to this one. So this you can take a picture. Yeah. So this is important. Like Young's modulus, you may not remember it, but it's a relationship. So we can derive it in engineering. We derive the relationship between Young's modulus, shear modulus, and bulk modulus. Okay. But at your stage, those are not required really. Okay. Okay. Okay, fine. So we have just recapped all the three types of modulus. So just refer it today, study it again and again so that you remember it. So now we will get into the stress strain curve. Okay. The last time we have not covered the stress strain curve of a particular material. Let us say we do it for some aluminum or something. We draw a stress strain curve and try to find the importance of each and every point of a stress strain curve. Okay. So we don't apply stress actually, we just apply load.
Yeah.
We don't get strain actually, we got deformation. So it is a curve between force and the deformation. But because force area always remains constant, I mean before making it remains constant, so force by area becomes stress in the y-axis and change in length by original length becomes
Deformation.
strain in x-axis. So deformation in x-axis becomes your strain
Change in
and force in force in y-axis becomes your stress. Okay, and that's what I had explained earlier. So let us draw a stress strain curve. Okay, so the stress strain curve. Okay. This is very important. You can get in your CET paper and your JE paper. They will ask you the importance of each and every point in a stress strain curve. They will say, okay, what is the significance of this point? What is the significance of that point and all. So this is between y-axis and x-axis. Okay. So let us say on the y-axis we have the stress. Okay. Okay. And in the x-axis we have the strain. Okay. Then how do you get it? Actually, you do some experiment. Okay. You do some experiment in your laboratory. Okay. So okay. So so it is given in the picture like what is happening. You have one reference wire. Okay. You are like say you have a wire. Okay. So you have a wire, and let us say you are applying some weight here. Okay. You are applying some weight here, and let us say you have a reference scale. Okay. You have a reference scale. Let us say this, like that. So you have some scale. Okay. You have some reference scale. Okay. So you have some reference scale, and then you have another wire. Okay. You have another wire. Then this is reference wire, and this is another wire. Okay. So let us say because of application of load, this has got deformed by certain amount. Okay. So this is called reference wire. It is not deforming. This is reference wire means this is very rigid wire. It is not deforming. It is a rigid wire, non-deformable wire. This is the actual means there is nothing very rigid. That is the ideal thing. It is not deforming. Okay. So this is reference wire. Okay. So this is the reference wire, and then this is experimental wire. Okay. This is experimental wire. Okay. So this is reference wire and this is experimental wire. Okay. you can see there uh, one is deforming and other one is just remaining rigid. Okay. So you can see. So this is a reference wire and this is a experimental wire. Okay. So this reference wire does not deform. Okay. But whereas this experimental wire differ. So you are putting some weight there. Okay. So you are putting some kind of weight. Some kind of weight you are putting. Okay. So some kind of weight you are putting. Okay. So when you are adding more and more weight, so what you are doing actually this curve, this stress strain curve. Let me draw this stress strain curve. How does it look like? Let us say it is something like this. Okay. So and then so okay. So this is my this. Okay. So this is a stress strain curve. So what I am doing here is basically is stress, this is strain. Okay. So what I am doing, I keep on adding loads here. So I just, these are some weight. So you might have done in your physics experiment. To find the Young's modulus of a material, you keep on adding weight. Okay. So when you keep on adding weight, actually what is happening? So your weight is nothing but your mass into mg, right?
Acceleration.
Mass into acceleration. So let us say you put first 1 kg weight. Okay, 1 kg into g. Okay. Then this is nothing but your force, right? The force is nothing but your weight. So you are putting 1 kg. So g is nothing but 10 meter per second square, let us say. Okay. So this becomes 10 Newton weight. Okay. Then after you go on increasing the weight, so F0 is this, then 0.1, F1 is equal to, let us say, you put 2 kg, it will become 20 Newton. You put 3 kg, so let us say this is F1, then say F2, let us say this is F3, this becomes 30 Newton, like that. So if you keep on increasing the weight, so as you keep on increasing the weight, this wire, let us say it is made of aluminum, it will start deforming.
Yeah.
So how much it is deforming, you can measure by this scale. This is a reference scale. So by how much it is deforming, you can
By
measure by a scale. You can have some scale, and then you can see by how much it is deforming.
Yeah.
Okay. So by putting more and more weight, you are putting more and more stress,
You can see how
and
much
you
it
are
is
measuring the deformation. Okay, so you are putting force, then you know it is a area, this is a steel wire, it will have some cross sectional area A, okay, right, wire, okay, and then its original length is, let us say, L, right,
Yes.
then you keep on putting weight, weight will increase by some amount, the length will increase by some amount.
Yes.
Let us say first it was del L1, then the deformation is del L3, okay, del L3, okay, then the deformation is, let us say, del L2, okay, so del L1, del L2, del L3, like that, okay.
Yes.
So you can so corresponding to F1 it will be del L1, that is the deformation. Corresponding to F2 it will be del L2, then corresponding to F3 it is del L3, like that, okay.
With each force, different,
Huh.
more deformation.
More deformation. So you go on increasing, it will be more deformation. So let us say this is aluminum, okay. So what are the significance of this stress strain
Different
curve?
points.
Okay,
on
different point, okay. So let us say this is my first point. Let us say here is my first point. Let us say this point is A, right? This is my first point, which is A. Let us say this is my second point, which is B, okay. Let us say this is my third point, which is C, okay. Let us say this is my fourth point, which is D, which is the ultimate tensile strength, okay. Then let us say this is my final point, which is E,
Breaking
okay,
point.
yeah, which is E. So this point E is otherwise called as the fracture point. The wire will be fractured at there. Here, fracture point. Okay. So point E is called fracture point. Point A is called proportional point. Proportional point. Okay. Point A is called proportional point. Point B is called yield point. Yield point. Yield point. Okay. And point C, point B is called yield point. Okay. So what is the importance of point B? So there is something called Hooke's law. Okay. There is something
Equal to
called
minus
Hooke's law.
six.
Okay. There is something called Hooke's law. Okay. So what does Hooke's law says? Okay. Hooke's law says stress and strain. Okay. So for small deformation, the stress and stress are proportional to each other. This is known as Hooke's law. Okay. So for small deformation, okay. So Hooke's law says for small deformation, like say till this point, till the point A. So how much is the deformation? Very less.
Very small.
Very small. So till this point, say Hooke's law says.
Stress
Somebody
is
will
the
ask you what is
proportional.
Hooke's law. Hooke's law says for small deformation, stress is proportional to strain.
Yes.
Strain. Okay. Remember this.
Yes.
Okay. So stress we are writing as sigma, strain we are writing as epsilon. That means sigma is directly proportional to epsilon.
Epsilon.
Okay. That means sigma is equal to E, K into E. This K is nothing but a Young's modulus sigma by this K. You can write it as Young's modulus actually. Y. Okay. Y. Young's modulus Y is equal to sigma by E.
Yes.
Okay, so this is till proportional limit. Okay, this is called this E is called proportionality constant. So Hooke's law is an empirical law and is bound to be valid for most material. So for most of the material, Hooke's law is valid. Okay. However, there are some materials which do not exhibit the linear relationship. So most of the material, you can see this curve. This curve
Certain
is a,
limit that
this curve is a completely straight line. That means linear relationship.
very small deformation.
Very small deformation, and the slope of this curve is called Young's modulus.
Yeah.
So here in this is strain, this is stress. This slope of the curve is nothing but your stress by strain.
Yeah.
Because in the y-axis, x-axis you have strain, in the y-axis you have stress. So stress by strain is your Young's modulus. Okay. So that is about Hooke's law. Now let us come to the different point. Okay. So a typical graph you can see. Okay. So the region O to A. So there are different regions. Okay. So the region O to A. What is the significance of each and every region? Okay. So from O to A, the curve is linear.
Linear area.
From O to A, curve is linear. In this region, Hooke's law is obeyed. So from O to A, Hooke's law is obeyed. Okay. So the body regains its original position when the applied force is removed in this region. This behaves as an elastic body. So suppose to reach point A, you have applied some 2 kg of load.
Yeah.
So if you remove the 2 kg of load, the
It will
body
go
will
back
come back to the O.
Oh.
So the body regains its original position if you remove the load at point A.
Elastic.
Elastic region, that is okay. Then comes the region A to B. A to B. Okay. So this region is A to B. Okay. So in A to B, stress and strain are not proportional, because you can see this is a curved one. This line is a curved one. So the stress and strain are not proportional. If it is linear, they are proportional.
Yes.
If it is not linear, they are not proportional. Okay. It may be second power, third power, or whatever. Okay. So this is A to B, stress and strain are not proportional. Nevertheless, the body still returns to its original position when the load is removed.
Okay, it still regains its shape. But
regains
it's not linear.
It's not linear. So this point B of the curve is called yield point. Okay. So the point B is yield point. Okay. Yield point. That means if you apply load more than the yield point, there will be a permanent deformation.
Not
Till
go back.
this point there is not a permanent deformation. But if you apply load beyond B, there will be a permanent deformation. It will not come back to the original condition O. Okay. So B is yield point, and also known as elastic limit. So this A is proportional limit. A is proportional limit. B is called elastic limit, because beyond B it is not elastic. Beyond B there will be a permanent set time, permanent deformation.
Yes.
So A is called proportional limit, B is called elastic limit. Because beyond B it will yield. What do you mean by yield? Means it has yielded. If you remove the load, it will not come back. That is the meaning of yield.
Yes.
That means yield means in the literal meaning is surrender. It has surrendered.
It has given something.
That means it will not come back to the original position. See, so you are telling you are elastic. That means you are coming back to the original position.
Yeah.
But you have yielded. That means you cannot come back to the original position. You have surrendered. Yes. So B is known as yield point, also known as elastic limit.
Yes.
Okay. So the strength corresponding to point B is called yield strength.
Okay.
This is very important. So this point on the y-axis is called yield strength. So the yield strength of a material is very, very important in any structural design. You should know the yield strength of the material, because you don't want your structure to yield. Whatever it is, your structure should not yield. If it is yielding, that means if there is a permanent set in the structure, it's a problem. Suppose you are operating in somewhere, your length has increased, it will go and hit the adjoining component. So you don't want it to happen. You want to operate in a load regime where it will come back to the original position. It should work within elastic limit, or the load, the strength, it should not go beyond the yield strength. The load applied should not cause a stress which is more than the yield strength. Okay, the load applied should not cause a stress which is more than the strength, yield strength. Okay, so there are two terms here. One is called stress, one is called strength. Okay, so strength is the property of the material. Remember, strength is the property of the material. Stress is caused by the external load. So stress should not be more than the yield strength for any structural design. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, so to have a permanent so deformation is okay. So beyond now we are going beyond B. Okay, so now we have gone from OA AB. Now we will go to the region BC. Okay, we will go to the region BC. Okay. So the portion of the curve between B and C is shown this. If the load is increased further, I mean beyond B, beyond the yield strength, the stress developed exceeds the yield strength and the strain increases rapidly even for a small change in stress. So from B to C, you can see the strain is increasing very rapidly, but the stress is almost, when it's a it is almost a horizontal line.
Yeah, but strain.
So without applying any load, additional load, the strain is increasing in BC, in the region BC. Okay, so the portion of the curve between B and C shows this. Okay, when the load is removed, so between B and D, if the load is removed, say at some point C, okay, let us say at some point C, you are removing the load. Okay, so if you are removing the load, what will happen? It will come back, suppose at C. So this is your yield point, you know. Okay, B is your yield point, A is your proportional limit. So here some permanent set has already happened. So if you remove the load, it will come back in a line parallel to the Young's modulus line. Okay, just so this it will come back along a path parallel to this curve. This is a curve.
Linear curve.
That linear curve. It will come back in a line parallel to the linear curve. Okay. So you can see after, so now at this point the load is 0. You have removed the load completely.
Yeah.
At this point, let us say this is point X or so. At X, there is no load at all. Load is completely removed. But you can see there is a permanent set.
Which cannot be broken.
So there is some del L permanent or whatever, some amount of deformation is still there, which is undesirable for any structural design.
Yes.
So B and D is the plastic region. You can say beyond yield point, beyond B, it is the plastic region because there is a permanent set. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the body does not regain its original position in this case even when the load is 0. This strain is not 0. So this strain is not 0. So the material is said to have a permanent set. So at point C, the material has a permanent set. Deformation is said to be plastic deformation. So this type of deformation beyond B is called plastic deformation. So anything beyond B to D, that is plastic deformation. Okay. So this is called a plastic deformation. The point D in the graph, is called ultimate tensile strength. This is very, very important. So what is the maximum load you can apply on the structure?
Ultimate.
That is ultimate tensile strength. Okay. So your this point is your UTS, ultimate
Tensile strength.
ultimate tensile strength. This has to be removed. The maximum load that a structure or that particular material can carry is this. So you draw a, like this is, let us say this line. So you draw a line like this. So this was your proportional limit. Okay. Sorry, this was your yield strength. This is proportional limit. This is yield.
Yeah.
So this was yield strength. This one is UTS, ultimate
Yes.
tensile strength. So ultimate tensile strength is always more than the yield strength.
Yeah.
Yield strength. So ultimate tensile strength is the maximum stress. The definition is the maximum strength that a structure can carry is called ultimate tensile strength. Okay.
Maximum
And then-
stress.
Maximum stress that a structure can carry is called ultimate tensile strength. Okay. Then if you beyond D, if you keep on applying some load, okay,
Right.
then at point E the necking will start. Okay, the necking will start and it will try to break. So normally we in our lab we test some kind of your tensile testing specimen. We a universal testing machine we do. So we apply some tensile load. So what will happen? It will elongate, and there will be some necking phenomena will be happening. Okay.
Mhm.
So
It becomes
if
thinner
it
and
is a
thinner.
ductile material, there will be lot of necking.
Because
But
it can easily
if it is a brittle material, there will be no necking. It will just
Immediately
break into
break.
pieces. But if it is a brittle ductile material, it will do necking, and then it will break into pieces
after a long time.
after a long time. So from D to E, at E point, it will break into two pieces. That is called the ultimate tensile strength. And they are saying if D and E are very close to each other, it is a brittle material.
Yeah.
But if D and E are far from each
Ductile
other,
material.
it is a ductile material. That means if there is more necking, that is a ductile material. If there is less necking, that is a brittle material. Okay. So that is about what is a brittle material and what is a ductile material. Okay. So I studied on the stress strain behavior varies from material to material. For example, rubber can be pulled to several times its original length. See, the steel is less ductile as aluminum. Aluminum is more ductile.
Yes.
Rubber is still more ductile. You
Yeah.
can pull it rubber to any extent, it will not
Go
going
back
to
to
break.
its-
So it is a very ductile material, and steel returns to its original shape. So rubber figure shows stress and curve of an elastic tissue of aorta present in our heart. So in our heart there is a tissue. How does it
Aorta.
behave? Okay, that aorta.
Aorta.
Okay, aorta, no? Aorta, something is present in the heart. Now that although the elastic region is very large, the material does not obey Hooke's law. Now that although the elastic region is very large, the material does not obey Hooke's law. So it's elastic in nature. See, this hard tissue is elastic in nature. You pull it, it will come back to its original position. But it does not obey Hooke's law.
That
this
exception that
हाँ,
they told that
here,
everything.
here the structural material like steel and aluminum and many structural material they obey Hooke's law.
Yeah.
But this rubber and hard tissue they do not obey Hooke's law.
There's no linear change.
There is no linear. Secondly, there is no well-defined plastic region. So here you can see beyond B to D. So B to D is your plastic region. Okay.
Yeah.
So like say here B to D is plastic region.
Yeah.
Okay. B to D is your plastic region. O to A is your proportionality region. So
Elastic
O to
region.
O to A is your proportionality region. Then O to B is your yield region. whatever. So B to D is your plastic region. Okay, this is plastic region B to D,
Yes.
plastic region, and O to B is up to yield. Then beyond D to E, it is necking region and breaking.
Immediate.
Okay. So
ultimately
these
breaks.
are all for structural material. But the hard tissue and
Rubber.
rubber, they don't obey Hooke's law, the linear law.
Of
Instead they
stress
are
and strain being proportional.
instead their curve is something like that. This is stress and this is strain. The hard tissue, it will behave in a non-linear fashion. Like say, it will behave like this.
Okay.
So it's a it is not directly proportional. It may be proportional to the square of it. It is a non-linear
Yeah,
relation. See,
understood.
if it is something is proportional to the first power of x, it is a linear relation.
relation.
If it is proportional to some second power or third power, it may be non-linear relation which does not obey Hooke's law.
Hooke's law.
So you can see here the rate of change of
There's no
stress.
fixed reason in
Ah,
which
ah.
there is
There
difference.
is no such difference. So this is stress and this is strain, and so this the heart tissue, substance like aorta, rubber, etc., which can be stressed to cause large stresses, are called elastomers. So these like aorta and then rubber, then these are all called elastomers. Okay.
Yeah.
They ask like what are so elastomers does not obey Hooke's
Hooke's
law.
law.
All other structural material obey
Hooke's
Hooke's
law.
law. Okay. So I think it was very much essential to know about each and every point of a stress strain curve of a structural material like aluminium. So in the previous class I have drawn the table like for aluminium, what is the value of Young's modulus, what is the density. So aluminium, and then your steel. Okay, so aluminium, steel, then what is the density of aluminium, then what is the Young's modulus Y. Okay, so aluminium density is 2710 kg per meter cube, steel density is something like 7880 kg per meter cube. I'll ask these questions anytime. You have to remember this. This is very important to remember these numbers. People say you should not remember, but you have to remember these numbers. Anytime I'll ask you. Okay, so these are density kg per meter cube. Okay, okay. So this is the density. Then Young's modulus of aluminium is in GPa, 70 GPa. Okay, whereas for steel it is something around 200 GPa. 200 GPa. That is Young's modulus. Whereas the yield strength of this material is in MPa. Okay, so aluminium it is let us say 95 MPa they have given, steel is 220 MPa.
Okay.
So this is yield, whereas the strength like U sigma UTS or ultimate strength is that is in GPa, this is in MPa. Okay, this is in MPa, which is like if it is 70, this is 95 MPa. Okay, 95 MPa, and steel is 250 MPa or in that region. So when this is 7200 GPa, this can be 7200 GPa, MPa. That you have to remember. So Young's modulus is almost 1000 times more than the yield or ultimate strength. So this is all about your stress strain curve. You need to remember each and every point of the stress strain curve. Go through it again and again. Okay. So we are done with this. Then we will have one more class on mechanics of solid. We will discuss about Poisson's ratio. Then potential energy when a wire is being stressed, and application of elastic behavior of material like for bending, for buckling, what kind of properties are required, what are the different types of load, how you are applying different types of column in case of when you are designing bridges and all. So what and all, some numericals on that, few numericals also will solve. Okay, so today we have completed stress strain curve, each and significance of each and every term of stress strain curve, which is good enough at this stage because we will just stop it here. Okay, next class we will do the like the the elastic potential energy of stress
And
wire
application,
and
Poisson's ratio.
applications, Poisson's ratio will study, and like say in case of a rail when where our train is moving on the rail cross section, why it is I cross section, why it is not rectangular
Application.
cross section, how the bridges in bridges what is the load, and what are the different types of load in case of a column. Some numericals we will solve in another 1 hour in the next class. Okay, thank you.